With our distribution partners, we have some fairly strong relationships. You know, some of our distributors in some of the countries have actually been with us since the very beginning. The challenge for those distributors is, again, to help us extend the software message into our downstream partners. Move away from being a hardware supply engine and actually being more involved in channel recruitment and enablement and activation of our partners. So effectively wanting our distributors to be an extension of IGEL. So moving away from the logistical and moving more into the sales enablement is where I see our distributors. But also looking at new distributors that can take us into markets that we haven't yet been exposed to. So one of the key areas is looking at MSPs, SIs, and also looking at different channels. So historically we've been looking at Citrix type partners and VMware partners, but looking at Amazon partners. And the distributors that work with those partners aren't necessarily the distributors we have today, because they're kind of born in the cloud partners, and the distributors that serve those partners are not the typical logistical engines that we've relied on before in the past. Our channel partners moving into 2019 to really be successful with IGEL need to embrace the software message and understand the value not only that they can extend to their customers, but the value actually adopting that software message has to their own organization. So one of the key things that pretty much most channel partners look at within any vendor they actually work with is actually building up that annuity stream. So with us actually having our perpetual license and having the maintenance and support stream there enables them to build up the value just as we are building up the value of our organization, allows those channel partners to build up the value of their organization around those annuity streams. But they also, for them to be successful, they need to extend the types of customers they actually work with. We've been very successful in certain verticals, such as healthcare and some of the public sector organizations. What we need to do is actually allow them and enable them to actually extend into the enterprise space, because that's when they're going to start seeing the larger opportunities and therefore the larger annuity streams as they actually move forward with our product. When it comes to partners choosing IGEL, I think the key thing for them is differentiation. You know, there are a lot of vendors out there that focus from a software perspective on certain key issues. So, you know, when it comes to Windows environments, there are software vendors out there that capture all of the security issues, antivirus, malware, you know, but actually having something that differentiates them from their competitors, where they can actually still extend and fix those challenges for their customers, but with something that is different from the rest of the guys, you know, instead of being a me too. I think that's really the partners that really understand us and would do well will be those ones that are able to apply our message and actually differentiate themselves from their competition. I love the speed at which we operate, you know, the actual dynamic nature of the organization. It can be a little bit daunting when you first come in, you know, having worked for large corporate organizations that are big ships that are slow to turn. Working for an organization that has the presence that IGEL has, but still has inclusive and dynamic culture of a smaller organization enables things to be done very, very quickly. And, you know, that's exciting for me. Well, the interesting thing is, you know, I chose IGEL because of the direction that IGEL were going. And because of how they position themselves in the market right now. What was a pleasant surprise to me and actually was made it more exciting was the culture and the environment and, you know, the interaction we actually have with, like I said, the C-level board down. And I generally did actually say, you know, 6 weeks into my role, when Simon Richards sort of asked me and said, you know, what are your first impressions? And it felt a little bit gushy saying it, but I generally was probably more excited about working in this organisation than I have for any organisation I've ever worked for, regardless of how I felt about the organisation and the jobs were good, but I didn't have the same degree of excitement and passion that I did with IGEL. And I never got that. That's not what made me take the job, but that's what, you know, excited me when I was in the role. So it's really good.